Has this meeting been properly noticed and a quorum present?
Yes.
Looking for Heidi, thank you. Our tech facilitator, Paul, has some information for us to start with.
Sure. I just got to read the script. Welcome to our virtual meeting. We're going to cover a few basic items before beginning. To members and city staff, the chair, clerk, and technical facilitator are responsible for muting and unmuting committee members. During any roll call, all panelists will be unmuted until completed, at which time the chair will place panelists back on mute. Voting will be considered unanimous. However, if you object to a unanimous vote, please use the raise hand feature when the chair asks for objections. Also use the raise hand feature when you'd like to be recognized to speak or ask questions. This includes staff who are being asked questions. The chair will do their best to call on committee members in the order in which hands are raised. Lowering your hand will take you out of the queue. If you lose connection at any point during the meeting, you can reconnect by clicking the link or calling the number in your original email. Members of the public who have registered to speak, when your name is called, the facilitator will find your name based on the name you provided in your registration and permit you to speak. Please wait until you are unmuted to begin talking. The clerk will tell you when your time is up. You will be unable to speak for the remainder of the meeting unless a member of the body asks you a question. Jesus, if you need to share documentation with the board, please send it to the email listed in today's agenda. If you do not wish to speak, please watch the meeting streamed on Madison City Channel website, the City of Madison YouTube channel, or on Charter Digital 994. Thanks.
Okay, great, thank you. With that, is there anyone wishing to make public comments on items not on the agenda, limited to 3 minutes? Seeing none, are there any disclosures and recusals? Seeing none, we have a public hearing at 4:45. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting? Assumed anonymous unless I see objection, and here is a hand. And I'm supposed to unmute first, push the hand second. Okay.
Move a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second? Oh, David raised his hand, and I don't have him on my pictures anymore. Hang on, Dave.
Okay, the second.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor? Seeing no objections, the motion passes. We have, I didn't get the water resources report. Do we have a project with, we must have a project with water resources report.
Yeah, Jackie, let me check here quick for you. The only item on the agenda is number 4, the plans and specs for Julia Street, and it requires Madison erosion control permit.
Great, thank you. Oh, I think I did that wrong again. Okay, keep going. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, which today includes items 7, 10, 13 to 18, and 27?
So move.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, that gets us consent agenda. Item 5, project agreement to construct an interchange at US Highway 12 and County AB. Unmuting Christy.
Okay. Are you unmuting Christy or me?
Well,
Jackie doesn't have the list, so Tom Lynch.
Okay. Go ahead, Tom.
Hi, Jackie.
Oh, good to see you.
I know. Sometime we should do something sometime.
We should.
So am I able to, I'm not able to control this, so we can move on. Both the county AB.
Excuse me, we're going to have Alder Furman has a comment.
No,
That
sorry.
was left over. Okay. Okay. Lower hand. Leave on mute. Okay. Tom.
Okay.
Okay.
With the Mill Pond Road intersection, which serves kind of the Ho Chunk as well as the Hare Hill Golf Course. Back. There we go. As well as the county AB. These are two of the probably most dangerous intersections within the city limits. From 2014 to 2018, there's 55 crashes, 17 injuries, and 1 fatality at Mill Pond Road. At AB, 35 crashes, 19 injuries, 1 fatality. I believe in 2019, a city, someone who, a member of the Public Works Department was killed at County AB, so that's not even in these statistics. These have been very dangerous intersections for, I'm going to say, the last 20 years. If you were to go to the next slide, the Mill Pond Road, it's the second most dangerous intersection in the city of Madison, as measured by crash severity. I have a friend that just got in a crash there last year, and these are pictures of her crash. This happens. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation identified both of the intersections as having extremely high potential for safety improvement. Mill Pond intersection was the third highest with this potential in the state for two-way stop control. And then if you were to take Mill Pond Road and combine it with AB, the two, it has the highest potential for safety improvement within the whole state of Wisconsin. Next slide. Because of this extreme, I'm going to call it an extreme safety need, we wrote 2 letters to the DOT as they were going through the BIC interchange. And on behalf of the city, we were pretty blunt and forward. We said, with this letter, we want to reemphasize the urgent safety need, request a grade separated solution that address safety access to the Highway 12 intersections with Mill Pond Road and or County AB. Next slide. The environmental document for the Beltline interchange, which the Wisconsin DOT themselves wrote, they even acknowledged how dire the safety need was at this intersection. It says that the crash rate in the west section is 220 crashes per 100 million vehicle miles traveled, which is well above the state average of 67 for similar roadways. The injury crash rate is in the west section is 89 per 100 million, which is higher than the statewide average of 23.8, almost 3 times. The crash rate for incidents resulting in a fatality is 7.7 per 100, which is almost 8 times, greatly exceeds the statewide rate of 0.9 per 100 million vehicle miles traveled. So these are right from the WisDOT's own environmental document. Next slide. Yeah. Part of the situation too is there's just a high delay. It's very difficult to make a left turn from this location. In April of 2019, we put up a camera because we wanted to do a delay study, and there's a methodology for figuring out how long our vehicles have to wait. And for some periods while we were doing this study, the average delay, was approached 516 seconds. So that's 9 minutes to get out onto Highway 20, Highway 12, 18. Next slide. Okay, so one other thing that's a factor in this is that the Ho Chunk has developed plans and got an approval for these plans to greatly, I don't know what you want to call it, create a variety of features on their site. It includes a heritage center, I believe a hotel, large gaming. Next slide. Those trips will greatly kind of increase the number of trips that approach the Mill Pond Road. This is a trip generation where you can see the weekday trips right now at Mill Pond Road. We have 7,797. When the Ho-Chunk improvements are fully built out, that's going to grow to 17,000. Because of the great concern associated with this, part of their approval condition was, I think the next slide shows. Next slide. There. Yeah, it says the PD district plan shall not create traffic or parking demand disproportionate to the facilities improvements designed to meet those demands. So before they can actually move forward, we have to really address this issue. Next slide. This interchange has kind of been in Madison's plans for a while. The 2017 Yahara Hills Neighborhood Development Plan has about 3,000 to 3,500 additional dwelling units on Madison's east side, between 5,000 and 6,000 new jobs on Madison east side. And you can see this is directly from the plan. The interchange is right there. Next slide. The Madison Area Transportation Planning Board, which classifies roadways, it's in the Regional Transportation Plan, the interchange for 2050. The Reiner-Spricker County AB corridor is identified as a long-term major arterial collector. And in that plan, capacity expansion is recommended in the Regional Transportation Plan. Next slide. Because of our letters, I think basically, I'm going to say this, WSDOT really wasn't, I'm going to say this, WSDOT was not super interested in addressing this problem for the last couple of years. Recently, I'm going to say in the last 2 years, because of our letters, because of our advocacy, they said, all right, we will look into it. And when they looked into it, they found that this had such a high potential for improving safety and that they could get a considerable amount of safety funds, federal safety funds for making an improvement here. In fact, they were able to get about $10 million of HSIP funds, Highway Safety Improvement Funds, to address this. And once they saw that potential, I think they decided to move forward with this project. This graphic illustrates what's being proposed. The interchange is to the right by AB. It's in the alignment that will eventually be part of a north-south arterial that connects with AB. Because we did not, or they didn't want to, or we didn't want to, or both didn't want to use eminent domain. The interchange is in the right place, but then you can see it kind of curves over to the left for a temporary condition. There's there's a frontage road that connects the interchange west to serve both the golf course and the Ho-Chunk development. To the left, I cut and paste the Meyer Road overpass. The Meyer Road overpass is also in our long-range transportation plan. The DOT looked at constructing that. If I remember correctly, if I recollect correctly, that'd be about a $20 to $25 million project. They were not as interested in constructing the Meyer Road overpass. One, because it doesn't address the safety need at County AB. Putting an interchange at County AB addresses the safety need at both AB and Mill Pond Road. Two, if we were to do a Meyer Road overpass, there'd be a jug handle there. And so there would still be some at-grade intersections right next to a system interchange. And so they felt like if we're going to do this, they wanted to do it with the appropriate facility for a freeway. Next slide. This is a proposed typical section for the frontage road. Basically, it's Mill Pond Road. You can see they have 2 travel lanes, some bike lanes, and then they are also planning on a shared use path. Next slide. If you look at the Yahara Hills neighborhood development plan, it constructs the portions of the bike ped that are outlined, I guess, in yellow. If you look to the west, it doesn't construct the overpass at Meyer Road, but it doesn't preclude that. And it's something that we still, the city of Madison, can put in official mapping. Next slide. This is just another picture of it. It kind of shows the jurisdictions. The purple represents the city of Madison. The blue represents the Ho-Chunk Nation, and then the yellow kind of represents what WSDOT is doing. Next slide. So this is a $37 million project. The DOT is able to come up with some of the dollars from state funding. About $10 million can come from federal safety funding. About between $3 and $5 million would come from the city of Madison for the frontage road that serves our properties. And they're hoping to make up some of the shortfall through a federal build grant application. We have consultants working on this application in Washington, and they say that this is a good candidate. It's not a slam dunk, but it's a good candidate because the safety need is so great. The grant applications are due mid-May. I think it's May 18th in 2020. Total project cost is $37 million. And one of the things that is consistent with the build grant is they like to see the commitment of local funding as you submit your grant application. And so they like to see a commitment of funding from local partners. And that kind of leads to the resolution that's being before you tonight. Next slide. Where it says, therefore be it resolved that the city of Madison can contribute up to $5 million towards the construction of the frontage roads that serve Madison parcels. It also allows the city and the mayor and the city clerk to enter into project agreements with the WSDOT, Dane County, and Ho-Chunk Nation. It's resolved that the Common Council approves indemnification clauses that often accompany these agreements when we partner with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. And it also allows the mayor and the city to allocate city property for the establishment of frontage roads that serve the AB interchange, subject to approvals by the Park Commission if necessary. So much of the property needed for the interchange is on the north side of County AB, and the city's kind of already reserved that property in anticipation of this project. But some of it is south, and there'll be small slivers of the golf course that maybe need to be acquired or whatever. And so this allows that to occur, but it's subject to the approval of the Park Commission. So that's the presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Are there questions? Oh, here we go. Unmute first. Down the lower hand. Oh, I think I missed it. Okay.
Nope, you got thank you, Jackie.
Okay.
Tom, I had some questions. I know there's been concerns at the Transportation Policy Planning Board about pedestrian and bicycle components to this. Have there been any changes? Has there been any work to address any of that?
Well, there's I want to say the County AB interchange. The County AB interchange has all of the bicycle and pedestrian components built in. I think there's a desire by some that they would rather see the Meyer Road overpass done instead of the County AB interchange. And so if we were to go back to that slideshow, the DOT is not as interested in the Meyer Road and overpass because one, it's a local road. It's not on the national highway system, but it really only solves half the problem. So you're spending as much money to solve half of the safety problem, whereas if you put if you have all the money in the AB interchange, you're solving both of the problems. Discussions with Rob Phillips, we still have an interest in putting that there. We still have an interest in officially mapping it. So, yeah, and if we were to do both improvements, which would be nice to do both improvements, we'd be looking at $60 million. And, that's just a lot of money for anyone to find.
Sure, thank you.
All right. I don't have anything to click on now.
You want to exit full screen? And you'll be able to see that panel again.
Thank you. Yes, I want to continue. Okay. Are there other comments? I'm not doing this right, but. Okay, seeing none. Is there a motion to approve? Oh, there we go.
So moved.
Thank you. A second? Michael?
I will second.
Thank you. Are there all in favor unless someone objects? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, now we'll go back to item 4, the 445 public hearing, which is on Julia Street, Julia Circle, and Baker Avenue.
Want to unmute Steve?
Oh, unmute. Oh, shoot. Unmute Steve.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, great.
I've got a mess. I don't have any pictures anymore.
Okay, there we go. That's probably all you need right there. Shows the limits. I'm the project engineer for the Julia Street, Julia Circle, Baker Avenue Assessment District 2020. The limits of the project are Julia Circle from Julia Street to the south end, Baker Avenue from Capitol Avenue to Julia Street, and Julia Street from Baker Avenue to the west end. The purpose of this project is to improve storm sewer drainage issues and sanitary sewer improvements, as well as street improvements. This sanitary sewer was first installed in 1967, and we're having a lot of issues with sanitary infiltration on Julia Street. A lot of clear water is running into the sanitary sewer system. We also have a lot of flooding issues down below at Julia Street with a lot of the residents. There's a very high water table on Julia Street, and people have sump pumps that run constantly on the lower half or the west half of Julia Street. And that water is discharged over the sidewalk out into the street, causing a lot of icing problems and issues in the wintertime. So we would like to install private storm connections to every resident who would like a private storm connection so they can install their sump pumps into this private connection. There's no work proposed for the water main, and originally our scope of the project was to include storm and sanitary replacement on both Julia Street and Julia Circle, but due to a lot of residents' complaints regarding Julia Circle, a lot of them claim that they didn't have any issues and they didn't have any sumps. So we reduced the scope of this project for Julia Circle to not install private storm connections on Julia Circle, as well as not replace the sanitary sewer on Julia Circle, because we looked at the video and everything looked fine on the video with that circle. The existing street of Julia Circle and Julia Street have a rating of 4 out of 10, where 10 would be a brand new street. So they're in pretty rough shape. The curbs are rated 8 out of 10, where 10 would be a brand new curb. Baker Avenue is an unimproved street, or a street without curb and gutter. And right now, a lot of the stormwater that runs down Capitol Avenue wraps around the corner and discharges onto Baker. And since Baker doesn't have any storm or curb and gutter to direct it, a lot of it just overflows onto Julia Street and down the hill, causing a lot of drainage problems for the people at the bottom of Julia Street. So with Baker Street, we're proposing to install new curb and gutter from Capitol Avenue to Julia Street to help facilitate the stormwater drainage and improve storm sewer as well on Baker Street all the way down to from Capitol Avenue to Julia Street. There are no proposed tree removals with this project. All the trees are in fairly decent shape. Forestry did have a couple of trees that came out last year that we'll do the stump grinding on. Our standard assessment policy is being used, where the property owner will pay 50% of the cost for the concrete, curb and gutter, sidewalk, and driveways, and the city pays the other 50%. The property owners are assessed for 25% of the cost of the sanitary sewer laterals and the connection, and the city covers 75% of the remaining cost. For the new street portion of Baker Avenue, our standard policy is to assess the property owners for 100% of the cost of 4 feet of the street and the new curb and gutter, and then the city pays the rest. The property owners were given the option when we sent this notice out to opt out of the option to install the private storm connection, and we've had several property owners opt out of that option so far. So there's going to be a revised assessment sent out letting people know that things changed. There are also several residents who question the sidewalk, curb and gutter removal. And I gave them the explanation that, with the sanitary sewer and the private storm installation, everything is excavated to the elevation of the storm and the sanitary. When you do that excavation, we want to stub everything to the property line, and we assume that 2 sections of curb are coming out for the sanitary sewer lateral, and 4 sections of the sidewalk need to come out when you dig in the sanitary to the property line, which is 4 foot, which is the back of sidewalk, typically 1 foot behind the back of sidewalk. Let's see. I wanted to note too, if any of the property owners are attending this meeting, that these are estimated assessments, and this is a worst case scenario for the property owners. We're only going to assess you for what actually happens with the project. So if, we originally estimated out 4 squares of sidewalk need to come out, but when we install that sanitary lateral to your property, only 2 squares came out, that's all you'll be assessed for. There was also a lot of emails sent back and forth between me and the property owners, and I had a couple of property owners, I think all the board members received an email from Christy regarding the property owners at 13 Julia Circle, who wanted you guys all to know that they are opposed to the project. The total cost of the project is $750,000. Roughly $100,000 is accessible, with a total city cost of $650,000. We're hoping to advertise for bid on May 7th, and construction will begin in the summer of this year. I'm free to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. We have one from Michael. Oops, yeah.
Steve,
Yeah.
Yes.
how many houses were identified as having sump pumps that would potentially be connected to the storm sewer?
I do not have that answer. I'm sorry.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is there the potential that those people that opt out, and there is an identified problem with water in the basement, that some of that water is going to the sanitary?
Not that I'm aware of.
Were there inspections made of those residences?
Not that I'm aware of.
Do you think that might be a good idea? I guess what I'm just
I guess I'm
wondering-
going to have to defer that to the sewer section. But everyone who's opting out of this private connection does not have a sump pump. So they don't have the water problems that the people at the bottom of the hill are having.
Oh, so you did an inspection that you identified who had sump pumps?
I did not. The storm sewer section did. And I do not have that information. I'm sorry.
Michael, I don't think, this is Rob, I don't think that we would have a right to enter their homes, at least not the engineering division. I think your point's a good one. I would be more worried about somebody wanting the connection later, who's opted out, but then realizes they want it, because these things have been very problematic in terms of icing up the streets, and that's why this is being done. I'm not sure, again, that we have a way to get in the homes to confirm that. Obviously, it's illegal to be hooked up to the sanitary sewer. There are means to other means to verify that, such as smoke testing, that could be done if we've got a concern in that regard.
Right. No, I was more concerned with the sump pump not being, if they're, right now it's probably discharged to their yard someplace. And I was just wondering if that backed up, that would go down their basement drain, obviously. Which is where we don't want it to go.
Yeah. I suppose it's possible. I'd be less concerned about that one.
But one of the option for the property owners to opt out of this, if we see problems, or if they have a problem in the future, they'll be 100% responsible for tying into putting a private storm connection in themselves, which could cost them substantially more than what we have in our assessment.
Alder Furman, you're done with that question? Okay. And Lauren, I see you. I think you should be able to speak now. No?
There it is.
Okay, Lauren.
There I am.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Lauren Striegel. I am one of the storm designers on this project, and I just wanted to chime in really quickly. That's a really good question. We have been in close contact with all of these property owners because this area falls right in one of our original watershed studies, the Strickers-Mendota watershed study. And these residents have been very outspoken. So we have a pretty good idea of who on this block is having issues with groundwater. There is one resident in particular that is discharging to the sanitary right now. He is paying a fee to do so and has been very forthcoming about this project and the fact that he will have to turn off that connection once this project is in place. He's been very open to that, and he will tie into the storm sewer. So as much as we can tell right now, you're correct that they're largely discharging to the backyards. And in the case of this gentleman, he was discharging to the street, which is why we had to get him hooked up to the sanitary. But we should have a fairly good idea of how many of these people need this connection. And so far, they have all been very open and excited about it.
Alder Evers.
Thank you, Chair. I am not speaking to the topic. Just to let you know, I've been having trouble with my internet. So I have called in, and my phone number is 608-219-9676 in case I lose the connection again, so that I could be not an attendee, but a panelist on my phone number as well.
I'll promote you, Alder Evers, right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no other registrants, or no other discussion here, I'd like to open the public hearing. We have two registrants, Vera and Ron Axelis, who wish to speak, oppose and wish to speak.
Yes, hello, this is Vira Axelis. We live at 13 Julius Circle. I've already voiced our opposition in Retton online and received good comments from Steve Zontag, as have all the residents of the circle. And I just wanted to thank you guys for listening to us, because we've lived here for a long time and we know what's going on, and our hearts go out to our neighbors downhill. We love all of them, and we just hope that the project down there is really going to take care of the problems for them. So that's pretty much all I had to say then. Thank you.
Good, thank you for your comments. And we have Devin Agaba, who is registered and does not wish to speak, and available to answer questions. Are there questions?
There is nobody in the queue by that name.
Okay. And seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Is there further discussion? Is there a motion to approve? Alder Furman?
Yes, I'd like to move a motion to approve.
Thank you. David Branson?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Lower hand. All in favor unless saying otherwise? Seeing none, motion passes. Thank you, everybody. That takes us to item 6, East Isthmus and Yahara River Watershed Study. Joanna. Okay. Did I get you clear? Joanna O'Brien.
I'm clear. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Okay.
Hi, I'm Jojo O'Brien. I'm the project manager for this watershed study. As you can see in the map here, we'll be studying kind of the East Isthmus area and the majority of the area that drains to the Yahara River, along with some additional area that drains to Lake Monona. The area in yellow on the map here shows some additional area that we'll be studying, just to make sure that we are accounting for the high lake level flooding that is very particular to this watershed. So for those of you that are familiar with the watershed studies, these are following half of our typical scope. So we're bringing this through to figure out what the existing conditions are and what flooding looks like on the isthmus, and how that's impacted by the Yahara River. And with that, we'll be including some additional analysis for what tailwater conditions we should be using when the Yahara River levels are high, which would be when Lake Mendota and Lake Monona have both high lake levels. And then with that, we'll be getting a tool that will help us predict whether or not there will be flooding that can be run kind of more in real time. So those are two additional things with this study. We anticipate it'll be done in just over a year. And then from there, we'd be able to move on to phase 2 of this, where we could start a second contract where we could look at proposed conditions. And we're doing it in 2 phases, primarily because of budgeting. So what else? We are teaming up with Professor Ken Potter, who works at UW and is an expert on lake levels and combining different probabilities of events happening, something that's particularly difficult with trying to figure out how frequently and how at risk the isthmus is trying to figure out how frequently we think we're going to have high lake levels, because that impacts how the water is able to drain out of the sewers on the isthmus. This is one of 11 different watersheds that we're actively working on. And we picked the consultant Tetra Tech. They were in the bottom to middle range of what different consultants proposed for this. And we chose them because they had a good process for how to figure out the different lake level flooding issues that we were seeing in this watershed. And we're also able to run a lot of different, what we would call model runs. So looking at different combinations of lake levels and Yahara River levels, along with different types of rain events on top that we think will help us to better understand the flooding situation on the isthmus. The cost for this project is $164,000, and that's coming out of the operating budget. Does anyone have any other questions?
Seeing none, is there a motion to approve? Alder Furman? Where'd you go? All right.
So
Dave,
moved.
thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? Alder Evers.
I was just trying to Dave beat me to the second, that's all, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve in second? All in favor, unless I'm seeing other objections?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 8, Blooming Grove. Town of Blooming Grove Stormwater Conveyance, Janet. Unmute, lower hand. Now I muted you.
Looks good now.
Okay, thank you. Janet.
You hear me?
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, great. Hi, I'm Janet Schmidt with the Engineering Division, and tonight we're proposing to enter into intermunicipal agreement with the Town of Blooming Grove for a shared greenway reconstruction project. So as you can see from the map, there's an area, this project is located just south of Cottage Grove Road next to Sprecher Road. The areas identified on the map are in blue and in kind of a orangey red. The areas in blue are the areas that drain to the problem area that's labeled with the star and discharge point on the map. It's right above the words Town of Blooming Grove. So this whole drainage area basically drains to that location, and they've had significant erosion control issues within the last year or two, and they're getting worse over time. We were contacted by the town last fall to come out and take a look at this. Portion of the drainage area in blue is the contributing area from the city of Madison, while the area in orange is from the town of Blooming Grove. So we do have kind of a stake in the game in this. So that's why we agreed to partner with the town on the project. So what the goal is to have enter into this municipal agreement, intergovernmental agreement for a cost share with the town, knowing that we will eventually take over the town properties in 2027. The cost of the project is estimated to be about $200,000, and we're going to share that cost at a 70-30 split based on contributing area and flow that goes to this discharge point. In the meantime, the town has agreed to fix some of the immediate concerns, which include erosion of the shoulder and the ditches, along with doing some slurry backfill of the roadway because the roadway is starting to undermine at that point where it crosses Sprecher Road. What's going to happen later? So this is just for entering into the agreement with the town to split the cost, and then a long-term maintenance agreement until the city is able to take over the town properties. We'll be coming back later with plans and specs for this. We'll also have to do a budget amendment so we can accept funding from the town of Blooming Grove to help pay for their portion of the work. And we're hoping to get some grant money from the county as well to help offset the cost. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Seeing none, is there a motion to approve? Dave?
So moved.
Thank you. Alder Furman?
Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor by acclamation unless there's an objection? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Janet. Let's see. Okay. Item 9, MSA Professional Services for Willow Creek Watershed Study. It's Lauren.
All right, you ready for me?
Okay. Yes, it looks good.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect.
I can hear you.
Awesome. So yes, hi, I'm Lauren Striegel. Again, I'm an engineer with the Stormwater Division, and I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the city's other watershed studies. So JoJo did a fantastic job kind of walking through what these are as a refresher. This is where JoJo's was a little bit more unusual. This is a very by the book, I would say, watershed study. So this one will follow the other 10 studies kind of framework that we've been doing so far. So as far as where this is in the city, this is the Willow Creek watershed. It's a fairly high profile watershed. It's kind of right down the middle. The main features being Hilldale Mall, Shorewood Hills, and then that University Avenue corridor that kind of extends from Midvale all the way over until it becomes Campus Drive and crosses over by Whole Foods and over by the UW Hospital on University Bay Drive. Obviously, University Midvale got a ton of flooding in 2018, has historically flooded in much smaller events than that. The city has taken a look at this several times before. We're also in the middle of trying to plan out a major University Avenue reconstruction right now, which kind of hastened our interest in looking at this watershed. So we did put this out to bid. We selected MSA. They were kind of the lower end of the pack. They were not the lowest proposal, but they were on the lower end. They had a really strong approach, we thought, and we have had really good luck with the team that is working on this in the past. They have been working on Hawks Landing for us for years now, and have done fantastic work out there. They're also working on our Green Tree McKenna watershed study, and we've been very happy with their work there. Like JoJo said, the schedule for this project is kind of working on this existing conditions model, yet this year, this this project has kind of that automatic tipping point into the phase 2 project. So those proposed solutions, it's not going to have a break like the Isthmus Yahara watershed will. It's really going to kind of move right into a proposed solutions kind of realm into 2021.
Thank you. Michael.
Yeah, what were the range in bids on that one, Lauren?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So it ranged from 121,000-ish at the low end. And I should say that the whole team that was reviewing this thought that was not a very realistic cost. The lowest realistic cost we thought that we got was about 185,000. The high end was 288,000-ish. And the bid that we ended up selecting was 218,000.
Gotcha. And is this project, is this the one that has a large stormwater outlet across the Shorewood golf course?
Yeah, so this is that area. I think what you're referring to is the deep tunnel project that keeps coming up every couple of years as a potential solution to the flooding at that University Midvale intersection. So we took a closer look at that this last year, and it came out very expensive. And so for now, we've kind of tabled that idea. It's going to be looked at in this project, but we're really going to ask them to look at other solutions, assuming that we will not be getting the $30 million or so anytime soon to solve this problem in one shot.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mute now. Okay, are there other questions? Is there a motion to approve? David?
To approve.
Thank you. Michael? Michael? Well, I can't make this work. Michael, do you want to make the second? My problem here.
I think I got him.
Okay.
There we go. I'll second.
Okay, thank you very much. Further discussion? All in favor, or all are in favor unless I hear an objection? Hearing none, motion passes.
Thanks.
Thank you. Item 11, SSM Fish Hatchery Road Clinic and other stuff. Item 11. Timothy, unmute. Timothy.
Yep, you got me?
Tim, yep, thank you. There we go.
Tim Treister with the City Engineering. I do development management for the West Side. Item 11 is the certified survey map and project for SSM Health of Wisconsin to reconstruct their clinic on Fish Hatchery Road. The map up right now is existing conditions. If you can go to the next page and rotate there. And if you can zoom in that upper right or upper left corner where the red is. So as part of the conditions of approval, SSM will be required to install the public sidewalk along Midland and also the public sidewalk along Fish Hatchery on that corner at the intersection, as well as they have conditions to widen Midland Street to 28 feet of pavement width. So they'll have to widen out that pavement and then reconstruct that curb there for the wider street. This work is going to be in conjunction with the city's projects to reconstruct South Street on the east side of the clinic, as well as High Street, which is the Angle Street on the other side of their proposed parking. And as well to the south, city will be constructing the new Cedar Street extension through the area. So as part of the CSM, there's some land trading that's going on and dedications to get those new street right-of-ways in place. And if there's any other questions, I would be happy to answer them.
So there's kind of a bike route along there. Is that on street or is that on the sidewalk along there?
On Fish Hatch?
On Fish Hatch, the path.
We're not proposing any improvements on Fish Hatch besides the public sidewalk that they have to install in the terrace at this time.
Okay. So
that all, the Fish Hatch will remain, the pavement will remain as is.
Okay. All right, I'm trying to call on Alder Evers again. All right, Alder Evers, I'm trying to get you here.
He may have to confirm on his end. I clicked it as well and it's not changing. So that usually means that he muted himself and has to confirm on his end.
Okay.
I see him now.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I thought I was unmuted. I'll start all over. Thank you, Chair. Timothy, my question is, Plan Commission stipulated that there would be an east-west or west-east connection, that the sidewalk that I think on your, I don't have access to a cursor, but it's about a third of the way down, that runs from Fish Hatchery to South Street, it appears, or to High Street, I guess. But it was agreed that that sidewalk would be widened and also that there would be a curb cut into Fish Hatchery there, and I just wanted to make sure that's included in this drawing.
Yeah, they have that sidewalk shown there, kind of the third way down, and I will make sure that the project designers have that curb cut in their plans. I believe it's on this one. I'd have to zoom in to see. And then the crossing at South Street there would be incorporated into the city reconstruction project.
And this is just the first phase, but there's also there was some conversation about, I suppose it doesn't come up until the development is completed with the grocery store, whatever happens with whatever comes into the Pick and Save site now. But there was some discussion about extending High Street down. I just wanted to make sure that, granted, these things go in stages, but I wanted to make sure that was still in the plan.
Yeah, right now, I guess the conditions on there are that they need to properly terminate the end of High Street, and that is being taken care of with the city reconstruction project. And then if there's other conditions ever to come in with the Pick and Save site, we'll have to address that, when they submit plans for review and approval.
That's all I got. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Good. Is there a motion, further discussion? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Dave?
Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor, unless I hear objection? Seeing none, motion passes. Rustling of papers. Item 12. 5006 Hammersley Road. Tim again, unmute. Okay.
So 5006 Hammersley Road, traffic engineering made a comment during the review for this site plan to install public sidewalk on Hammersley Road adjacent to their site. The plan you see right now is just the existing conditions. If you can go to the next page. There. So the public sidewalk there is outlined in the red on the left. For here, it's just 5-foot standard sidewalks. So that's the sidewalk improvement. And we'll also be pulling in their other improvements within the right of way, which are on the next page, which involve their required sanitary to serve their second unit. Some storm installation to address some backyard drainage, and then the 2 new driveways on Whitcomb. And then if there's any questions.
Oh, any questions? Thank you. And we have a registrant, Karen Demick, opposes, does not wish to speak. Karen, are you here at all?
There's nobody by that name in the queue.
Thank you. With that, is there a motion to approve? Whoops, David? Whoops. All right, who have I got here? Hi, Dave, I threw you to the bottom.
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Alder Furman seconded. Further discussion? All in favor, unless I hear a objection? Seeing none, motion passes. Okay. More rustling of paper. Item 19, Gates of Heaven refinishing of the floors.
All right, so what time is it? 5:30?
Hi, Amy Scanlon with engineering, facilities management and engineering. My graphic is coming up, it looks like. This project is about Gates of Heaven and the replacement of the existing floor. You can see that it is heavily worn and unable to maintain a finish. It's been refinished numerous times, and in some areas the tongue is exposed, which makes it thin in those areas. So the idea is to replace the floor so that it has the same historic appearance. We'd be replacing the floor in the main area only, and then the upper platform at the altar or bema area and the stairs would all just be the existing material. I think that's
Thank you.
pretty much the scope of this project. There are some smaller details about removal of the shoe molding and replacement of shoe molding, but that's the main idea is the floor replacement.
Thank you. Are there questions? Seeing none Michael. Did I open up Michael?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All righty. Are you restricted because it's a registered historical site? Are you restricted with the materials you can use for this floor?
Slightly. We are planning to replace the floor so that it has the same historic appearance, but we are planning to use an engineered product instead of solid pine. It will be a heart pine veneer surface on the top, but we are supposed to keep within the pine material, yes, and width and length and those kinds of parameters as well.
So you don't have to use a natural product per
We don't
se.
have to. We have to maintain the appearance.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Is there a motion to approve? David?
So move.
Thank you. Alder Furman?
Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? Motion is approved unless there's objection. Seeing none, motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Just a second here. Okay. Was item 19. Item 20, Highland Avenue sidewalk and lighting improvements. Item 20, Highland Avenue and sidewalk.
Whoever's the staff person, can you please raise your hand? Thank you. There's James.
Jim Wolf.
Yes, hi. I'm the arts administrator for the city. My name is Karen Wolf. Hi. Yes, and I have been working with engineering and with Gretchen Aviles Pinheiro and James Wolf for a while now on trying to collaborate on a project that involves an extensive sculptural installation in the underpass and also has pretty extensive infrastructure in terms of lighting that backlights perforated steel panels. So I think what we're looking for tonight is approval of the lighting design plan and permission to put that out for bid.
Good.
This is Jim Wolf. I had a couple of comments on that. Jim Wolf from engineering.
Thank
and then, so part of this project to help facilitate the art project and the lighting includes removal of the concrete sloping under the Highland Avenue Bridge for Campus Drive, and then replace that with a wall to support the art, do some sidewalk replacement, and then replace the concrete sloping as necessary. So that's kind of the whole package of the project.
Thank you. Michael?
Yes. I've got, I think that it looks pretty cool. And that should be pretty nice. I guess my question was regarding the, what type of provisions are made to make it vandal proof as much as you can?
Oh.
Is I muted?
No, Steve's going to help me with this, or Paul's going to help me figure out how, maybe I do this. No.
Sorry, what are you looking for?
Paul, I'm trying to get Karen to be able to talk again. I had her come in as James Wolf.
Yes, thank you. Yes. I mean, we're trying to make it easy, keeping it just Wolfs on staff here, but it may have made it more complicated. So, okay, so we're using Core-10 steel. We've done tests on the surface of the product, and you can remove any, superficial scratches into it or any paint. If there's more significant damage, we probably have to replace the panel, but we have the templates and the means to do that. But that would be like, God forbid, something just running into it.
Right. No, it looks very nice.
It's going to be beautiful. This project started when the artist was a graduate student at the university. It was sort of her myelin project. And she has since worked, you've probably worked with her professionally. It's been a long time in the making. So it'll be nice to see it actualized finally.
Great. Thank you.
I'm probably going to show my age, but doesn't Core 10 steel rust like crazy? Oh.
It does rust, but it gets a sort of a patina and then it stops rusting. But we have also incorporated in a bit of a trough, if you will, where if it does drip down, it won't discolor a lot of the pavement. Jim,
okay.
If that's more of a technical question for you, maybe you can address it, but that's what I know of it.
Yep, that summed it up well.
Yeah, my concern was rusty, sidewalky areas, so that's fine. Okay. Further discussion? Is there a motion to approve? Michael, I kind of have your hand up.
I will so approve. So move.
So move. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then we'll go to Alder.
Before.
Thank you. Alder Furman.
Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor, unless I hear a objection? Seeing none, motion's approved. Thank you. Item 21, local road calming and arterial pedestrian enhancements.
Jackie, you can start with Tom Moore and Jim Wolf. I know those two folks are here for that.
Oh, Jim was just here. All right, Jim, I'm going to have to ask you to go first because I can't find Tom Moore yet. Or we'll continue looking for Tom Moore.
That works. So the traffic calming and arterial ped enhancements project includes work citywide. So there's a number of elements included here. We can walk through a few of these. This is a new big block crossing on Badger Road near the South Transfer Point. So this would be new pedestrian ramps and a new continental crosswalk marking. Next page. So these would be speed humps on Green Avenue. So the speed humps would go through our neighborhood traffic management program for approval, which includes a safe survey of the neighborhood. So that went through that process. Next page. Similarly, the new islands on Inner Drive, also part of the neighborhood traffic management program, to help with some safer ped crossings and for traffic calming measures. This is actually an enhanced crossing at Kennedy by the elementary school. So ped ramps and continental crosswalk markings. Three more speed humps on Lexington Avenue. Keep running through them pretty quick. There's some traffic circles included in the project as well. So Orion and North Star. And then for each of the traffic circles that are in here, these would either have a no-mow grass planted on the center of them. Otherwise, they could go through the adaptive medium program if the neighborhood wanted to take on the maintenance of the landscaping. Next one. The speed hump and a bump out on Prairie Road. So the bump out is at an existing marked pedestrian crossing. So assuming that's in condition, we plan to reuse those markings and then just narrow the street through the crossing and extend the curb ramps, as well as a driveway you've been there for the property owner at 2514. Next one. Traffic circle at Spate and Dickinson. And speed humps on Spooner. Another traffic circle at Tompkins and Groveland. And then in the next sheet, there is an existing Metro bus stop on the east side of Agriculture, just north of Fembright. And this would extend the existing sidewalk out to actually have a pedestrian area and a loading area for the bus stop on Agriculture. And this is another bus stop location.
Excuse me, Michael, did you have a question on that one? Oh. Michael, did you have a question on that area?
I can wait till the end if you'd like. I had a question on Spooner.
Let's go back and pick that up while they're there.
Alrighty, on Spooner Street, there's a, you got speed humps. You got two separate speed humps on the north and south end of Spooner in a 2-block distance between Rowley and Kai's. And I'm just wondering if that's really necessary.
Yeah, this is Tom Moore from Traffic Engineering. So this one was a little different. All of these speed humps go through the neighborhood traffic management program, where we rank the streets, pick the highest streets that rank in our system, and then we it goes through Transportation Commission, and then we survey the residents. And initially we proposed the speed humps closer to Regent Street, but during the survey, we received 8 of the surveys back, and 6 of those commented that we should add, that they like the speed humps close to Regent, but we should also add the speed humps, or the speed hump near Roberts Court. So, and I should say that we received 8 surveys back, and they were all in favor of the speed humps. So this one was really a pretty overwhelming response that they want the speed humps there, and it did rank high enough in our system, in our point system. So I think all the necessary approvals were in place for this. So.
Yeah, I can understand that they want them, but isn't that kind of overkill? I don't, not exact. Is there a crosswalk there at Roberts Court, or I don't quite understand why you need. The one at Rowley is just 1 block off the stoplight. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what you're trying to do there.
The initial complaint came from the residents closer to Regent Street that traffic use Spooner as a cut through between Monroe Street and Regent, and when they come over the hill of the bridge, if they see the green light on Regent Street, they'll accelerate to make that light. So that was the reason for adding the speed humps close to Regent Street. And then the one further to the south was just comment from 6 of the 8 residents that there really needs to be one there as well, because people accelerate between Monroe and Regent using it as a cut through.
But aren't you going to accomplish that just with the other one?
Well, when we space speed humps, we like to space them at about 300 feet. So if what we usually see is people accelerate after they get over the speed hump. So anyone going south or north. I don't think the speed hump further closest to Regent Street is going to have much of an effect on traffic that's around Kais and Roberts.
I don't have any further questions.
Alder Evers?
My only comment is that as the alder of the district, I welcome this speed hump on the Kais side of Spooner, of the bridge there. And I can't speak for Alder Bedar, or perhaps I should hesitate, but I'm quite confident she's in favor of the hump on the other side, which is in her district.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just measured it out, and the spacing, this proposed spacing is over 400 feet, which is around what we usually would space them out along a length of a street. We try to hit 300 feet. That's our ideal spacing, but 300 to 400 feet is what we typically do.
Good. Thank you. Going to continue on then.
Yeah, I think, Heidi, we're on sheet 82, it looks like. That's the one. So this is another unique bus stop. Actually, with the traffic calming contract last year, the islands on Midtown Road were installed. So there's an existing bus stop just east of Woods Road that there's no curb and gutter on that portion of Midtown. There's also a pretty steep grade coming down from the sidewalk to the existing roadway. So we wanted to actually take some time, get it surveyed, and design this so that we can extend the existing pavement area, essentially function as a bus pull-out area, and then kind of adjust the sidewalk grades and such to have an ADA compliant bus boarding pad there where that 5-inch concrete sidewalk node is. Next sheet. On Midvale Boulevard, this is southbound Midvale, just south of University Avenue, so along Hilldale or Fleming Steakhouse. Another bus stop situation. The front boarding pad is there. It's a concrete boarding pad, and the sidewalk is dipped before that. But the rear door of the bus exits out kind of where the private ramp is that connects to the mainline sidewalk. And in that area, the terrace has become heavily eroded. And so this project would adjust the grade here so that we can actually have better accessibility for the bus stops. We do that by actually adjusting the height of the curb a little bit and then modifying the sidewalk, which is currently back pitched towards the property line. So regrade the sidewalk towards the street, and then install concrete boarding pads for both the front and rear doors so that we can eliminate the erosion issue. Forestry had gone out and taken a look at the existing tree in that location, and the upper third of the tree is dead, so we would plan on removing that with the project as well. So this is sidewalk on West Platte Drive. There is a note on here that the actual final plans will be approved separately prior to construction. That would include assessments for the new sidewalk as well. But as part of the Gammon Road project, the West Town Path, which is shown in red, is being constructed. And that includes a stub of the path to kind of connect in at the intersection of Grand Canyon and West Platte Drive. So we're proposing the new sidewalk to provide good pedestrian access between Odana Road and up to that path connection. So there are a couple of gaps of sidewalk that would need to be installed, and including a new run sidewalk along the U-Haul location to connect into the stub of the path. Tom, do you maybe want to take some of the pavement marking things? Are you more familiar with that? Is Mark here?
Sure. No, I can speak to these. So these are, each one of these is a different location. On the left side are different streets where we plan to add bike lanes. And I guess one to look at is Orchard Street. That's a one-way street, but we're going to add bidirectional bike lanes there. Or I guess it's a northbound bike lane and southbound Sharrows. So that's kind of a different one. The other two, Badger Road and Drake Street, we're adding bike lanes within the existing cross section. There's just center line there right now. And then Wingra Drive at Fish Hatchery, we're just adding green, which at the bike path crossing, which is what we've been doing more throughout the city at bike path crossing locations. And then Johnson Street is kind of the same thing with the dash green.
Can I back up and ask you about how is the green holding up?
It's doing,
life is reasonable, or?
Yeah, it's doing okay. We've tried out different ways of applying it, different materials, and it does okay, especially in locations where there's not turning vehicles on it. And I think it does a little bit better on asphalt than concrete. But yeah, we're happy with the results so far.
Thank you.
And then the last one down in the bottom right is East Washington at Webster. We changed the lane configuration there, I think last year. And what we've noticed is that a lot of people that are coming up East Washington Avenue, turning right onto Webster, are using the bike lane to turn right from. So adding green there will really call out the bike lane to try to keep vehicles from using that. That's it. Yeah. And then these are mostly just adding continental crosswalks to existing, just the line crosswalks, except on the top left at Orchard and Drake, we're going to add a ped ramp. And then on the bottom right, this is on Park Street, south of Wingra Creek, we'll add ped ramps and crossing through the median island to connect Park Street. There's a pretty long distance where there's no crossing of Park Street, and I think this connects a bus stop to the bus stop on the west side to the east side. And this was Wright Street, just a location where we can take out a lane that's not needed, and add in an island and then connect it up to the sidewalk. And these are, I think the next few are Post Road. So this is adding a bump out at the bike path crossing and an island at Leopold Way. And this is adding an island at Traceway and a continental crosswalk. These are just painted islands, these next few. So, and the same thing a little bit further down. You go to the next slide. Oh, that's the last one. So, and then I should say that all of these, so the speed humps and the traffic circles go through the neighborhood traffic management program, and then the other locations go through our pedestrian bicycle ranking system that we created last year. So these were the highest ranking projects. We had a long list. I think it was over 100 different locations this year, and these are some of them that we've chosen for this contract because they include epoxy pavement markings, green markings, or curb work. Good,
thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve? David?
So moved.
Thank you. And Alder Furman, the second.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? So by acclamation, motion will be passed unless there's an objection. Hearing none, motion is approved. Thank you. We're on to change orders. The Metro, which I'm seeing is...
Hi, Jacqueline. It's Mike Schuchart with Engineering Facilities. I'm here to present change order 9 for the Metro Phase 1 wash bay. And I'll just go through the items. Stop me if anybody has a question. Item number 1 is change order request 37, which is the agency asked for a remote lift control on a brand new lift that the contractor installed. Change order request 38 is the contractor provided a alternate access to the project without interrupting the bus garage doors. We thought that was a good solution so we didn't get in the way of incoming or outgoing bus traffic. So we just reimbursed them for a moisture barrier on that wall. And then the next items 3 through 7 are all related to a new 4,000 amp electrical service for the new bus chargers that will service the electric buses. And then I'll move on to change order request 44 is a sealer on a previously poured interior concrete pad that the contractor didn't include in the previous change order. Moving on to change request 45, 47, 49, and 54. These are all items that are technology items that we added to the scope of the project. They were to be performed by owner staff, agency staff, but they're unable to do that, and so we assigned it to the contractors. And then the item 13 is change request 54, which is an electrical sub panel, which frankly was a miss by the design team, all of us, but it's value added to the project. And then change order 55 and 56 are both just masonry repairs that we've noticed during the project that were in need of repair. And that summarizes the change order request. It's the total amount is $70,891. And if this is approved, it would leave a 2% of the contingency remaining. Any questions?
Michael, did you have a question on this? Yes.
Yep, I had a question regarding item number 8.
Okay.
Which was 44, I guess. Does the concrete spec, doesn't that include a requirement for sealing and caulking?
It does. And the previous change order for the concrete, he didn't include it. I should have caught it, but he didn't include it. And the unit price for this met our expectations. So I allowed I guess we're allowing proposing to allow the ad for the sealer since he didn't include it in the last change order.
But when you request a cost for a change order item, don't you give them the spec, or don't you refer to that spec?
The CB did note the slab type, concrete slab type, but it did not note the sealer.
But doesn't the concrete spec include the sealing and the caulking?
It does.
So aren't they just responsible for providing that?
We could make them responsible, but it was, we thought, the rationale is that if they would have included it in the first change order, that change order would have increased by this amount. But yes, you're correct. It did include, the general spec does include a sealer and caulking.
So you're just taking their word that they left something out and they
well, more so than their word. I looked at the worksheet from the previous change order that the slab was on, and it did not include any sealer or caulking. And then the unit price showed that it was for materials, concrete materials, and placement only.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Sure.
Good, thank you. Is there further discussion? A motion to approve?
So move.
Thank you. Alder Furman?
Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor and approves unless I hear objection? Seeing none, motion is approved. Thank you, Michael. Topper Avenue, Holly Avenue, and Euclid.
Hi, this is Greg Freeze. I'm just waiting until the change order comes up. On my screen, at least, I don't know what you guys are seeing. There we go. Awesome, thank you. Again, my name is Greg Freeze from City of Madison Engineering. This is a change order, so members might remember a few, actually, we're not on the right change order yet. You're on Buckeye right now. Members might remember of, there we go. A few, and that just, I don't know who's running the board, but that is not the correct change order in the end. There was an account number change on that. Sorry. So I'll try one more time here. Members might remember a few weeks ago we did an approval of a green infrastructure study with the USGS that was going to study widespread implementation of green infrastructure practices in a watershed in an attempt to measure at the end of the pipe the difference at the bottom of the watershed. So most of the green infrastructure stuff that has been done measures the change on a site. So if you do a parking lot and you can document at that parking lot, but as you expand that to a watershed that might be 100 to 200 acres, that one is not, that has not been studied as much. So late in the game here, that was passed, I think maybe a month ago now. Time is starting to lose a little meaning for me the last few weeks. But we decided, we worked with the USGS, found a watershed that had street reconstruction projects already planned for it in the next couple of years, including this one. And so we added pervious pavement, 2 types of pervious pavement to Euclid Avenue late in the game of the design. And after we did that and we're working with water utility was not planning on replacing their water main, which is about 95 years old in this area. And they had concerns that putting pervious pavement over 95-year-old water main would be a problem. So they negotiated a price with SNL to replace the water main through the area of Euclid that was going to receive pervious pavement. And that was the first number you see was 129,000. And they further then decided to extend. That left so little of the block that was not being replaced. They decided to just do the entire block. So it was kind of done in mental phases here. So this is basically replacing about 95-year-old cast iron water main on a street reconstruction project, which they were not planning to do until we added green infrastructure to the project late in the game. So that is basically the change order. Water utility is in favor of this. They believe these prices are reasonable. So. Jackie, I can't hear you. You're muted right now.
Okay, Alder Furman has a question. Oh, wait a minute. Alder Furman?
Nope, that was from before.
Okay. Michael? Whoops, wrong one again.
Yes, I had a question regarding the change order form. Is there a standard change order form that's used for the engineering department? Because I know that last change order for item number 22, they had unit costs kind of spelled out there. And for this one, it's just lump sum amounts. There's no idea what the unit price is for the water main. I'm just wondering if there's a standard form that should be used. Like Michael used one that kind of listed everything out. And this one seems to be a little bit lacking in details.
Yeah, this is our standard form. Facilities uses a different format than all the other public works, but there should have been, I guess we didn't attach it. If you look in the change order, you'll note it says see attached. I guess that didn't get added. They do have a breakout of these items by linear foot, and they just did the way the water utility wrote this change order. Rather than list out 20 or 30 items on our change order sheet, they did it as an attachment, and then they reference two different sections. The first one is the area, that 128,000 and change is the area through the pervious pavement. And then the second one is the remainder of the block. And they do have itemized quantities for all of that on the attached. It just didn't get attached here. I apologize.
Okay. I think your comment that it's 95 years old, I mean, it seems to me like that should have been replaced right from the get-go. So I guess it's a good thing that it's happening. But the last comment I had was, what is behind you in your video? It looks like a nuclear reactor or something.
Yeah, well, I'm just kind of sitting down in a deep dark hole in my basement. So as unprofessional as the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon looks, that is what is really behind me. So, which is a bunch of shelves and American Girl doll boxes and similar. So, sorry about that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Is there a motion to approve? David? Thank you. Alder Furman, did I get it? No. Okay, Alder Furman, second. Further discussion? Hearing none, is all in favor unless I hear to the negative? Seeing none, motion passes. Item 24, Judge Doyle podium. Don't want to go too long without talking about that one.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Dave Schaller with Engineering Facilities and change order number 12 for contract 8290 for the Judge Doyle podium in the amount of $94,301.55. Composed of several pieces. The first item is for door hardware revisions to have the lock on the proper side between the entrance corridor off Wilson into the truck dock of the portion the city is selling. That is for $2,541.13. The second piece is to replace 2 PVC retail storm laterals from 2 cast iron, and that is because they were in the non-flammable area of the duct replacement and required to be replaced by city building inspection. And those were replaced at the cost of $3,443.41. Next item is the insulating of non-potable water pipes that were not called for in the plans to be insulated, that run through the retail spaces and to keep them from condensating. That was for the amount of $5,220.41. Then the next piece is the demo and replacement of the MMB entrance per the city engineering requirements, and that was for $5,174.03. The next item was reworking of the supply duct that went through the trash room wall as a result of not having the walls there, and then putting the walls in. It required a change of an opening size and a screen. That was for $2,560.58. And the next piece is change order request 74, modifying the ADA toilet shower room in the bike center to make it code compliant. And that was for $5,705.92. The last piece is the installation of the outlets for the electrical car charging stations. And that was the amount of $69,656.07 for a total net change over the $94,301.55. Questions?
Okay, Alder Furman. No, geez. Okay. Now Alder Furman.
Thank you, Jackie. Dave, I'm getting tired of seeing you for this stuff. I'm sure you're tired of coming here. I'd like to get a better understanding. So where is this money coming from? And then the really big item, I mean, I understand a lot of the other ones, and I'm certainly a huge fan of electric cars. Where's that money coming from? And how was a decision made to allow put in that car charging station stuff?
It is for the fleet, and with the fleet service vehicles all going to electric, we wanted to have the ability to have where the fleet parking is, to have the stations. We did not purchase all of the stations. This was for the plugs. This was for the transformers, the tubs, and all the wiring and conduit to get to 40 outlets placed. And we had, this was the one that I reported before, was originally brought to us by the electrical contractor on site at $140,000. And so when I received that, I thought that was high and reached out to others. And this was done by a different contractor. I had gotten multiple quotes. This was the lowest quote, was by Electrical Construction Incorporated. And when you ask where's the money coming from, we have budget left, but the well is running dry. I have there are a few more change order requests coming in at just right under 30,000. What I have, and we're not completely done. So we're bumping up against the need to come up with additional funds to just get to the end of the line.
So that helps answer some of probably my follow-up, which is, how many more of these should we be expecting? According to the change order, it looks like it's over contingency, and this will continue to this change order puts it even more over contingency. But you're saying there's still additional money besides the contingency in the budget to be paying for these change orders.
Correct. So we're continually watching that, and continuing watching that with finance and communicating as these are coming in, and we have another amendment that we are owed to the architect for the extended duration of the project. And so with that, we have some allowance figured in this budget as well. In this budget, we still have the demolition for the Government East, and we have an allowance for increased cost of that at $150,000. Those are set aside. We're just bumping up against the end of the well running dry.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Michael?
Yeah, one of the items you had there, Dave, was to make the public restroom ADA compliant.
Yes. What happened there, Mike, is the wall was set back at a distance that was too far for ADA. They had to remove the sink and put a new wall in, bringing it forward so that the sink alcove was within the requirements and dimensions of the ADA.
But shouldn't that have been designed like that from the beginning?
They did not pick up on the ADA depth, and I would say I agree with you. Yes, that should have been designed that way at the beginning.
So this is not a cost, and I know it's not that much of a cost in respect to the overall project cost, but isn't that a cost that should be assumed by the designer?
In what I've researched and from our prior conversations and your questions, Mike, is what is typical for errors and omissions, and what is typical, and it's naturally you can't use it all on percentages because a smaller job has less percentage than a larger job naturally to pull from. But what I've found in my research and looking it up to be able to answer this question for you is that the errors are typically 2% of the total contract, and omissions are 1% of the total contract. And we are over that with this project. And this is by no means, as you know from the change orders that have come in, a normal project that you would consider would be in the range of that 2% of contract for errors and 1% of contract for omissions.
Well, I don't. So what you're saying is that as long as they stay under 2% errors, it's okay?
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying that's the trend from the research I've done as I was researching who should pay for these type of things. And in the articles that I could find and read, that's what my research has led me to. I don't think,
if I was a designer in this project, I would assume that I'm on the hook for that, and I got to explain to the owner why I shouldn't be. So I think that maybe
we've had that conversation.
Instead of approaching this as what would be allowed with errors and omissions, we should assume that they're responsible unless they come back and say that's something that they don't think they should have to be paid for or have to pay for.
On some of these, they get into a legal battle of what is added value and what is not. And it becomes basically.
Yeah, this is no added value at all.
I agree, but and we've had this conversation with architects, and I think the long-term cure for it would have to be addressed in our contract language going forward. And we have contingencies for things like this, not that it's completely for errors or omissions. There's things that the city has owned and field directions that have added cost.
Yeah, obviously the architect or the engineer is not going to try to cover this with errors and omissions. They're just going to pay for it because it's going to cost them more in the long run to make a claim.
Of all the architects I've worked with, I've only had one step forward and do that.
Well, is that because we don't ask them?
No, it's not that we don't ask them. Believe me, we've asked them. And I get responses back like, well, we do the best we can and we're not perfect. And one of my responses, Mike, I think you would agree with, is that if you turn that around and it was the general contractor saying, well, we tried as best we could, but we're going to have to charge you another $500,000 because that's just what we spent. I mean, that to me sits that same way. So again, I'm going to come back that I think we need to consider our contract language going forward and how we address, that would be the time to address it. But again, that still would need the attorney's office involved because of the argument of what is added value and what is not. I don't like it any more than you do.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it would involve the attorney. There's no added value there. Anybody could see that, but I don't want to waste any more time. I appreciate your answer, Dave. So
thanks, Mike.
Jackie, I think you're muted.
It's me again. So I'm showing not muted, so we'll go on to Rob Phillips for the minute.
Okay, Madam Chair.
Oh, here we go. Okay, great. Thank you.
Madam Chair, this is Alda Harrington McKinney. I had my hand waved.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you.
All right. Michael landed exactly on what the reason that I raised my hand. And for this item specifically, David, some key things I'm looking at is that the term act. So I'm really looking at ADA compliant, code compliant in the bathroom. And the reason that I raised my hand is that I sit on the Disability Rights Commission. And in the new building, I was so excited about you being able to wave your hand and the door would automatically open. But I was exiting the building one evening with someone who was wheelchair bound. And she said to me, she said, that's great, but it's too high and I cannot reach it. And I'm sure that that was ADA code compliant. So let me really circle back and whether it's added value or not added value, accessibility is important. And I absolutely, I'm a novice at this, but I know that you've been doing this for quite a while, and it's nothing that that sits lightly with you, but it is something that I'm really concerned with because when we are creating structures and it needs to be accessible, and that really stuck in my mind when she was wheelchair bound and she said that she couldn't get out the door. And I was wondering, wow, what would have happened if she, for some reason, was the last one coming out of the building? I'm sure that she had navigated for that where she would not be the last one out of the building. But when we're looking at that ADA compliant, and you also said that it would need to be a change in contract language. And so what that looks like, what we need to look at, and I know that Alder Furman sits on that committee as well, but I would certainly like to have you to begin to look at what language changes we have to have in place. So something that is added value and not added value, who's responsible for that? And who should we be making responsible for that? Because that is a huge thing for someone who has to navigate in and out of our structures. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Rob?
Yeah, I'm sorry. What we've always done in instances is just what David is saying in terms of added value, where the change order creates a cost that the public would have had to incur regardless, we don't charge for those, right? If they would have put it in the design, theoretically, it would have incurred that cost anyway. Where the architect or engineer makes an error and is added cost to the project, those are the ones we look at. And in this particular instance, where we're negotiating, I'm assuming, on a amendment to the architect's contract, it would be appropriate to bring these issues into the discussion. Now there are some of these that just probably aren't of a high enough value to worry about, but in this particular instance, I think there's an opportunity there, and we need to discuss that with the architect as we negotiate the final settlement, if you will.
We are, in fact, doing that, and that is what was also weighs against is we use it to control them from add services for other things that we do request extra, and so then we hold them down from their charges with things just like this.
Alder Furman?
Thank you, Jackie. Rob, can we get it sounds like, this word added value has been thrown around a bunch. And obviously there's like an intuitive definition to it, but it sounds like there's a little bit more of a definition to it when we're talking about contracting that I believe you were kind of getting to. But if you could just address head on, what exactly is meant by added value when we're looking at a change order and dealing with this kind of contracting?
Let's just take a really easy example. Let's say the architect was supposed to have added the solar chargers outlets, but didn't. And now we add them. We say, we want those added, and we do a change order. That's added value. Now, let's say we build a wall 3 feet away from point A. We get that all finished and it's done, but it should have been 4 feet away from point A. It has to be 4 feet away. So now we have to tear down that wall and move it a foot. That is not added value.
Thank you for the examples. I appreciate it.
There further discussion? Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay. Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor? Unless I hear otherwise. I think I still left Alder Furman's hand up, I guess. Motion's approved. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
25, the library. Amy again, let me get that unmuted here. Okay, Amy.
Hi, Amy Scanlon again with Facilities Management. This is change order 11 for Penny Library. This change order involves enlarging a window and a door, adding some floor sockets for the Nana wall when it's folded into an open position so that the door panels are secure. Let's see, some electrical work, having the electrician move some floor boxes to work with furniture. And then I'm jumping ahead to adding some film at the supervisor's office on the glass door and side panel for some privacy. But the largest part of this change order is Construction Bulletin 8, which involves the addition of shades along the entire Cottage Grove Road frontage because of sun exposure and how much sun actually is coming into that space. The construction documents showed the shades being a future add. Well, the future is upon us. We've decided to add them during the project. So that's the $34,995 is the addition of the shades. And that is still within contingency, and the total of this change order is $40,886.60.
Thank you, Amy. Further discussion? Is there a motion to approve? Dave?
I'll move.
Alder Evers? Well, I'm almost there. Okay. Alder Evers? Nope. My fault.
Second. Second.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? All in favor, unless I see from others? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 26, Dunn's Marsh Watershed Study.
Hi.
Anybody? Oh, okay.
Sorry, just got unmuted. Hi, this is Greg Freeze again. So this is an amendment. It's basically a kind of a swap. We agreed with Dane County and Fitchburg to study a flooding problem at what I think everybody would probably recognize as the only bicycle roundabout that we have in Madison. So it's the junction of the Military Ridge Trail, the Southwest Bike Trail, and the Cap City Trail out there right by Dunn's Marsh. There's a big roundabout there. And in 2016 and again in 2018, that area flooded dramatically. And it is also the junction of essentially 3 jurisdictions. The Dane County owns a piece of this, Madison owns a piece of it, and Fitchburg owns a piece of it. So there was an MOU signed about a year ago between the 3 partners to study this. And we, City of Madison, had a watershed study ongoing, or at that point started with Stantec for a slightly different lobe of this watershed that comes through and underneath the belt line through Home Depot and discharges to Dunn's Marsh from the north across the railroad tracks and into Dunn's Marsh. This tributary comes in from the west. And we were in that, the agreement, the MOU posits that each of the 3 would contribute $25,000 for the work. The group got together and agreed that the way it would make more sense to do this would be to have Stantec take on the existing conditions model for this watershed, and that City of Madison would do it as an addendum to their contract, and that would satisfy our portion of the MOU, rather than the way it was going to work is we were going to hand our money to Dane County. Dane County was going to hire somebody, and then Dane County would pay them. So in this case, basically what we are doing is taking 20,000, I believe it's 20,000 and change, out of that the account that was part of that MOU, move it into Stantec's contract and do an addendum to add this this additional lobe of the watershed that was not in their initial study. This work is has zero budget impact. The dollars were already funded, and all the partners, ourselves, Fitchburg, and Dane County, are in favor of proceeding in this manner.
Further discussion? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve? Dave?
So move.
Alder Furman? Oh. Alder Furman.
Second.
Thank you very much. Further discussion? How was I saying this? Stands approved unless there's an objection. Seeing none, motion's approved. 28, Hawks Landing Golf Course, etc.
Yes, hi, this is Lauren Striegel again. This project is an old favorite to, I'm sure, everybody here. This is the same Hawks Landing flood mitigation project that we've been working on for a couple years. I'm sorry I didn't get a map for this one pulled together, but essentially this is just kind of continuing our long goal of fixing problems out here. It is a sole source project. So you may remember that way back in the day when we started this whole study, we had actually put out to bid, we had commissioned a watershed study in the traditional sense. It was a very small study. MSA ended up coming in the lowest out of everybody. And then it kind of grew and grew and grew. And so what we're looking for now is over a little under $38,000. You can see 37,777. And this is really going to fund the design of a phase 2 of the fix out here. So phase 1 was all of the work down at the corner of Hidden Hill and Shadowwood. It's what we call the Southwest fix. This one is going to be all design work for MSA to work on the northern fix. So work on designing kind of a big pond system to the north of Hawks Landing and kind of a farm field that sits to its north to protect not only the folks down at that southwest corner, but also the people along Hill Creek Drive, which is the road that forms the northern border of the west side of Hawks Landing. So it's going to be a lot of that. It's going to be relocation orders to get the property purchased, and then design work and any kind of bidding help and construction assistance that we need.
Thank you. Any discussion? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
What I'm doing wrong on this every time. Okay, that's a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor? Hearing no opposition, motion passes. Item 29. Let's see. Sidewalks everywhere. No, sidewalks in 4th and 8th districts. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, this is Bill McGlynn, City Engineering. So this item has to do with our sidewalk repair program that will be taking place in Aldermanic Districts 4 and 8 this year. So back in February 19th, a resolution was brought before the board to authorize the board and the Common Council to order sidewalk repairs in these districts. That was approved by the board in that February 19th meeting, and then by the council on March 3rd. So since that time, the contract has been bid and awarded to Raymond P. Cattell. So this is a follow-up that actually orders the property owners within those districts to repair or replace sidewalk that had been marked for repair. So it includes all of the properties that are affected, the addresses, the owners, the total square footages, and the number of panels at each address that are going to be replaced, and then the estimated assessments for each property owner. So the total contract is for $1,409,935, with the estimated assessments to the property owners at about $660,000.
Thank you.
Questions?
Seeing none, is there a motion to approve? Alder Furman?
So moved.
Thank you. Dave Branson?
Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, this motion is approved unless there's objection. Thank you. Item 30 is the March change order report for your information. Let's hold item 31 for the second. Were there any appeals regarding pre-qualifications?
There were none.
Thank you. Approval of bids. Rob, do you want to just go through all and then we'll approve as recommended?
Yes, there will be one that we are not going to recommend approval of here. I'll get to that.
And we'll say that as the recommendation is to not approve.
Yes, we're changing our recommendation.
Okay. All right.
Here we go. Okay, item number 33 on your agenda is contract number 8497. That's sidewalk, curbing, gutter, and concrete pavement patches citywide. Recommending the low bidder, Speedway Sand and Gravel, $356,923 even. Item number 34 on the agenda is contract number 8511. That is for Bridge Repairs 2020. Recommending the low bidder, Farner Asphalt Sealers, LLC, $85,326.85. Number 35 on the agenda is contract number 8536. That's McKenna Flood Mitigation Phase 2. Recommending the low bidder, Speedway Sand and Gravel Incorporated, $1,262,371.23. And that, I should note, includes a capital budget transfer of $510,000 GO borrowing authority between Major Project Monroe Street and Major Program Citywide Flood Mitigation. Item number 36 on the agenda is contract 8557, recommending the low bid. I'm sorry. Do you want to stop there and do the first one?
Okay. Their discussion on the first items. Okay, Alder Furman.
Or 33, 34, 35.
Correct.
So I was going to make the motion for approval, but if there are people who have questions, I can wait.
Okay. Okay, Dave.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. We'll hear yours as a motion then, Alder Furman. And now further discussion. Seeing none, all in favor by not objecting. Motion passes. Item 36.
Okay, under item 36 on the agenda, the horizontal saw cutting contract 8557. We got a non-responsive bids. We have nothing to, no action to take there. Brings us to 37 on the agenda, which is contract number 8558, repairing and sealing pavement cracks, Major Streets 2020. And I'm sorry, hang on. All right. Repairing and sealing pavement cracks, Major Streets 2020. Recommending the low bidder, Farner Asphalt Sealers, $299,930. Item number 38 on the agenda is contract number 8853, Park Paving. And recommending the low bidder, Joe Daniels Company Incorporated, $376,947.48. Item number 39 on the agenda is contract number 8877, Orchard Street Sanitary Sewer Repair. Recommending the low bidder.
Rob, this is the one we're recommending not to award.
I was right there.
Okay, so we have 37 and 38. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve 37 and 38? I see Alder Furman.
Does Michael have a question before I do that?
Thank you.
Question on 39.
Okay, so we'll go back to that. Then I'm going to move approval item 37 and 38.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Michael. Further discussion? All in favor by not objecting? Motion passes. Thank you. 39.
Item number 39 on the agenda is contract 8877, the Orchard Street sanitary sewer repair. There is a missed item on this contract, which doesn't sound like much. It's wastewater control, basically bypass pumping, but it actually is a big deal and can significantly throw off the bids. Could even perhaps explain the difference between the first two low bidders and the third bidder here. We can't recommend award on this one. So I would ask the board to not take action on that.
Okay, we just go ahead then.
But we will rebid that.
You don't have to formally do anything specific. Okay. Okay, item 40, Old Brick Roof Replacement.
So that brings us to item 40. Contract 8882, Old Brick Roof Replacement. And we are recommending the low bidder, Malley Roofing Incorporated, $59,200. And those are the bids for this evening.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve? Alder Furman?
Move approval item 40 and 40.
Thank you.
Was it 41 too? I'm sorry.
Just 40.
No, 40. That's.
And Dave? Thank you very much. Further discussion? All in favor by not objecting? Motion passes. Contract change order on item 41. John Farney. Okay, John.
Hello. Am I good here?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, all right, thanks. So this is from change order for Buckeye Road. If you recall last year, we were unable to finish the project due to the early cold weather we had. We came with a change order number 2 last winter, which we thought would be the items to take care of the cold weather paving, which included some additional asphalt, some adjusting some castings, putting some weepers in it, some low points to drain the water, and then some miscellaneous milling in areas that we thought, there might be some spots that just didn't hold up over the winter. So we put some miscellaneous milling in to take care of those. The way we took care of trying to get the street through the winter was the original design called for 5 1/4 inches of asphalt. But what we did was we left the gravel an inch low and substituted that 1 inch of gravel with 1 inch of asphalt. And so that's why we had 1 inch of asphalt on the change order from last fall. And then we didn't think 1 inch would be enough through the winter, so we added 1 inch of asphalt for the winter. So we had 2 inches down. And as I mentioned, one of those inches was that was additional. And then the other inch of asphalt was part of the, permanent 5 1/4 inch pavement structure. Well, what happened in fact was none of the asphalt held up over the winter. So we went out and looked at the site and felt that all the asphalt we installed last fall needed to be removed. So we had to add an inch of asphalt to be that went in. It's going to be extra, and now we have to pay to remove that asphalt and reshape road before we can put the actual 5 1/4 inches of asphalt down. So that's part of the change order. And then also we had to do a temporary yellow stripe for the winter, so that item is on there. So that took care of the temporary work for the winter. The other 2 items on there, there's an HMA overrun and for upper layer and one for lower layer. Those are there. The original bid items for the asphalt were underestimated by about 500 tons of asphalt. So those 2 items are to cover the underrun and the quantity. So they're unrelated to the winter work or temporary work. That was just an underestimate in the original bid.
Thank you. Michael?
Yeah, John, how would you handle this situation if you had to do it again? As far as the early winter?
You'd probably have to maybe put down, well, a couple of ways. We could have taken more gravel out and maybe gone with 3 inches of asphalt. As I mentioned, we left the gravel 1 inch low. Maybe we should have left it 2 inches low, but that wasn't even an option because we couldn't excavate out 2 inches of gravel because it was frozen at that time. The reason we didn't put more asphalt in is, we were afraid it was not going to be the quality you want because you're putting it on frozen material, you're putting it at sub temperatures. But maybe we would have had to just, try that, put in 3 inches of asphalt, and see what it, do some testing on it in the springtime to see how it actually held up over the winter. Maybe the road, we could have, kept the road closed for the winter to just local traffic.
Because I'm thinking that maybe, who knows, future, that these kind of situations may be coming up more often, and it's probably good to have a strategy in place. Maybe not putting down any asphalt is one idea.
Could be. That very good point. It would be, more maintenance would be the reverse side, the negative side of that. But in the long run, that might be cheaper. Like I said, maybe keep the road closed to local traffic for the winter and just run it on gravel. I don't know how the residents would feel about that. And part of it was a bus route. So those would be some of the issues that, we could look at and possibly address them going forward.
Thanks, John.
But that's a good point to consider. Hopefully you don't ever have to do that again, though. Two last year was enough.
I think it'll happen again.
Oh, don't say that. But no, good point that we should discuss that a little bit more.
Further discussion? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you very much.
And I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Further discussion? Approved by acclamation unless there's an objection. So moved and seconded and passed. Thank you. That takes us back to Board of Public Works Committee appointments. I'm expecting to no longer be on the Board of Public Works after the 1st of July. So if you want to have a new chair, that seems like a reasonable thing to do. Dave, are you willing to continue and leaving that just sitting there? Oops, here, Alder Furman. Yeah.
So with knowing that you're still going to be with us for a little bit, I would like to make the motion, if you're willing to accept it, that we nominate Jackie as Board of Public Works Chair, and then when Jackie leaves us, we'll figure out what happens after that.
That's fine with me.
So we just need a second.
Oh, I should be paying attention here. Okay, Michael?
I will second that.
Thank you. Dave, continuing on vice chair? Where'd Dave go?
No.
Dave?
Yeah, I got knocked off for a while.
Okay. Are you willing to continue as vice chair?
I am willing to continue as vice chair, yes.
Thank you. Did you hear the part where I'm probably not going to be here after the 1st of July?
No, I Christy had let me know that, but no, I did not hear that. I just got reconnected.
Okay. And
So I would like to make a motion to appoint David as vice chair.
thank you. Do we have a second on that? Michael?
I will second.
Thank you very much.
I'm a big Dave fan.
Sustainable Madison Committee, Tag Everest is currently on there. Wishing to continue?
I would like to, yeah, I know he does, so I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Alder Evers.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you, Michael. And Small Business Enterprise Appeals Committee, Dave has been handling that so far.
Yeah.
And willing to continue. And is there a motion to that?
Jackie, I thought actually I've been on that.
Yeah, Keith, you and I were both on that.
Oh, okay. So there's two nominations. Is that the case?
Do you come to that as, is that, okay, Rob? How does that work again?
Yep. There are two plus an alternate. And this is a very seldom used committee. So you're not committing to a lot of time here.
Okay. Is there a motion for Dave and Keith? Oh, and I've been the alternate, so we could do the same with that if you want. And figure it out later in July if there's another alternate needed.
Michael, you want to make that motion?
I will make the motion.
And Tag, you want to second that quickly?
Yeah, second.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, by voting. Thank you. And good. Thank you very much. And with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you, everybody.
Yay!
Adventure.
Happy Earth Day, everybody.
Thank you.